they were fleeing. Police rules on the use of deadly force were rewritten to comply with the Supreme Court ruling. Police training is still not adequate, but it has improved. Police are no longer completely confident that they can cover up a bad shooting now that the news media is alert and ready to cover possible bad shootings by police. And police are now facing much less crime, which means they are facing fewer bullets fired at them. The Federal Bureau of Investigation has always kept an accurate count of the number of police killed in the line of duty, and it has dropped from 129 in 1975 to 66 in 2016. Black America has always known there is a problem. A friend, a neighbor, a cousin witnessed or heard about cases of unjustifiable police use of deadly force and passed the word. But it took a series of technological developments for white America to hear these stories. 24-hour cable news, the internet, social media, police dash cam and body cam video, and, most importantly, a camera phone in everyone's pocket. This book is about what it was like before all that, before we all knew the names Michael Brown, Eric Garner, Tamir Rice, Laquan McDonald, Stephon Clark, and many others who have inspired protesters to chant, "Black Lives Matter." What is shocking is how little has changed, except for the new public and political awareness that there is a problem. When this book was published in 1983, it was the first of its kind, an exposé of how a badge could become a license to kill, focusing on the Boston police shooting of James Bowden. He was a young black husband and father who was shot and killed by two white police officers right after visiting his mother in a Roxbury housing project. That I was able to gather the facts to tell his story was something close to a miracle at the time. Cracking the blue wall of silence in a police department was virtually impossible. It helped that I was white with an Irish last name and a Boston accent. That made some Boston cops comfortable enough to do interviews with me. Too comfortable. Some of the cops spoke to me the way they spoke to each other, including casual use of the N-word. In 1970s Boston, racist language was common, and in the police department, it was even more common. I wish the N-word was as shocking for me to hear from white Boston cops then as it would be now. Race relations in Boston have improved much more than I expected. This book was the single biggest breakthrough in the then slim journalistic history of police use of deadly force. But this story would never have been told if it were not for the extraordinary commitment of one man who used to be a member of the police force that killed James Bowden. Without him, James Bowden's death would have been remembered only by the Bowden family and their friends and neighbors. The way he died would have been whispered at his funeral and then perhaps never spoken of again, just held as a private pain too hurtful to discuss. My father was a Boston police officer who decided to work his way through college and law school. He was the lawyer James Bowden's widow found when she wanted to know the truth about what happened to her husband. As soon as my father heard her story, he knew what he had to do. He knew how hard it would be. He knew it would take years. He knew that his old police department would go to war with him. But he knew no other lawyer had the right experience to fight this kind of war, the ex-cops' inside knowledge of how bad cops tried to cover their tracks. So he didn't think he had a choice. And now, we know the truth. Prologue. My father still asks me why I'm not a lawyer. Other people ask too, as soon as they find out about my family. My father is a lawyer, my three brothers, all older, are lawyers. My only